This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Haslet City Council meeting to order this November 14th, 2022. All the members of the council are present. If you would bow your heads with me. Thank you, Father in heaven, for the many gifts that you give us. We thank you for the many blessings. We thank you for your guidance and your wisdom. Be with us in all that we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is item 3. I really enjoy this, and it gives me great pleasure to present the 5-year service award to John O'Neill.
While the mayor's coming up, I was just going to tell y'all, I know John may think different than this, but it sure as heck don't feel like it's been 5 years that John's been here. But in that 5 years, John's really became a trusted, dependable team member that we really are happy to have. So he definitely deserves this.
Service awards to Executive Board John O'Neill. Grateful appreciation for 5 years of dedicated service in the past 2017, 2022. Thank you, sir. And we have something here to enjoy, probably short. And a plaque. Thank you for your 5 years of dedicated service, Mr. O'Neill. Thank you.
Enjoy working with everybody.
You know, as I've said before, is that Haslet is blessed to have the people who work for Haslet, our employees. We couldn't ask for a better group of people. They're all dedicated. They do an extremely professional job. And I know they all take on a lot, given that we're so short-handed. Does anybody need a job? Read the back end of your agenda here. We got a lot of positions open. Very good. Let's go to item 4, citizen participation and comments. If there's anybody here who would like to address the council on any item?
I have no one that signed up to speak at this moment.
Is there anybody online? Nobody online? Okay, well, let's go to item 5. Items of community interest. We have a radio station. And the primary purpose of that station is public safety.
And the internet go down. So
was that it? Oh, well, listen. It's, if I get this wrong, I don't see the numbers, but WRZ 736, okay, 736, It's on 1650 on your AM dial. And if you tune in around Christmas time, we're going to have the fire department quartet sing Jingle Bells, okay? But we will be working on some programming right now. It's very simple. It just announces the call station and do things like that. But also it's live streaming, and all of that's available. If you go to our website, then under the news flash, it has that link to it. 5B, the city offices and library are closed November 24th, Friday, and November the 25th for Thanksgiving. The Haslet Public Library is also closed on Saturday, November the 26th. Saturday, December 3rd is Christmas in the Park. It was a grand time, a beautiful time last year, and it will meet or exceed your expectations. Please come out. All the area enjoys it. And 5D, Haslet is hiring. And we got a number of positions opened. We did have firefighter positions open. So we got 3 online, as I understand. I know 2 offers went out, 1 more in talking, and if you got the capabilities, there's 3 more firefighters coming up here in the next month or so. Item 6, administrative reports. Council, do you have any items you'd like any discussion of? No questions on the administrative reports? Very good. Let's go to item 7. Updates on active items, projects, and event recaps. Mr. Rogers.
All right. Well, for our community park project, tennis court bids will be open this Wednesday, the 16th at 1 p.m. 2 p.m. I'm behind. I'm trying to get them done. I'm ready to go. And then we'll be, of course, reviewing those bids, put them together, try to, check everybody out so we can get it to the park board, and then hopefully have it on y'all's 12th of December meeting so we can get this project on the road, get them out here working. So that's going great. We have, on B, we do have a new pickup truck finally. First time I've drove a new truck in 14 years. Now, I have already told the guys they're going to have to get me some steps because I am getting too old to get in and out of this thing. It is high off the ground. But other than that, it is great. It is nice having a new truck. We took the old truck, my truck now, our building maintenance young man Pedro is using that one now. So we've retired our old 2006 Ford. Is sitting there waiting to go away at auction, I'm assuming soon. As soon as fire departments, they've got rid of theirs down to Michael, and when Michael and them give it over to us, we'll have 2 of them we're going to get rid of. Those trucks have been around here and been through every department just about since they've been here since 2006. So
You might call Smithsonian and see if they'd like it.
They have been here a long time. The Haslet Parkway construction is going great. They're doing a lot of hand pours when the weather permits, of course, right now, but they're doing all the hand pouring of all the turn lanes, intersections, tops of the drainage structures. So they're doing a lot of those smaller pours by, 1 truck, 2 trucks at a time kind of thing. But they're also putting in electric, Tri-County Electric, running the electric services in there, getting set up for the street lighting program and the signals for the intersections. We are having a little bit of a hiccup on the one at 170 and 35. We had to back up, get permission from the NTTA to put a conduit because the power there is actually on the other side of the highway. And so we had to get their approval to run a conduit along the bridge coming over 35 to the site and under the road to get it in. But we did get that approval. They've got the conduit that's gonna go on that bridge ordered up. It should be here actually this week and probably installed before the week's out if the weather will hold. And so that's going real well. And then the L portion of the roadway is actually slightly ahead of schedule, even with the weather. They have done quite a bit and are actually already starting to backfill with topsoil along the project site. So they're getting quite a ways ahead on that one. So everything on the projects are going really well. If you got any questions or anything, I'll do what I can. I'll answer what I can.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Rogers? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Item 8, consent agenda. Approval of the October 17th, 2022 regular city council meeting minutes.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I move to approve the meeting minutes.
Motion is made to approve the meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Mayor Holsey, I second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Item 9, public hearing, ordinances, resolution, and action items. 9A, discuss, consider, and act regarding the fiscal year 2022-2023 insurance benefits for employees. Ms. Lamb.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This report is based on our benefits broker, Hub International. They solicited proposals for our health insurance, dental, or long-term care, accidental death and disability, or long-term and short-term disability, and long-term care insurance. They do this every year depending on what contracts we have in place. Some of our contracts, they'll be multi-year, and we won't actually get quotes on that line of benefit. But we're very pleased to announce this year, for the first time since I've worked here, we have received a rate decrease in our health insurance coverage. We will remain with the same, or we're recommending we remain with the same provider, which is Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And the renewal rates represent about a 4% decrease in our overall premium. We offer an HSA plan. We offer a PPO plan. Part of this recommendation this year is to sunset our HMO plan because we don't have any employees avail themselves of that for several years. So we're, just basically eliminating that. There are no changes to the coverage that our employees have, nothing on deductibles or copays or prescriptions, any of that. It's the same plan, just at a reduced price of about 4% on the premium. Our vision, life, accidental death, disability, long-term, short-term disability, and our new benefits discount program, we recommend no changes. There was no changes in the rates from those providers. But on our dental coverage, we are recommending a change of provider from Mutual Omaha. So they actually proposed a 9% increase in our rates over the previous year. And in the marketing that Hub did, they were able to find a quote from MetLife that has a 10% decrease from our premium rates. And there's, once again, no coverage changes. The plan changes. There's no plan difference. However, it could be possible, depending on what physicians might be in that insurance program with MetLife, there could be a cause that someone may have to change their provider or use MetLife on a out-of-network basis. However, our understanding from our broker is that MetLife actually has a wider network, perhaps the Mutual of Omaha. So we're hoping that that doesn't happen, but we're very pleased to get that 9% rate increase. We have in our current budget, we have budgeted for 41 employees. That's considering that all of our employee positions are filled. They're currently not filled, but that budget resulted in an $84,329 increase over last year's budget in our approved budget. That was based on what we estimated to be an increase in our premium of about 10%. And so with the 4% decrease and the 10% of the increase, we don't have to plan on, we have about 14% decrease in our budgeted dollars. So the savings to the city will be at a minimum for $84,329 based on our budget. And then depending on the level of employees that are hired and come on and the timing of the year, it might be a little bit more than that. And that's basically our report.
Council, I just wanted to, I went over this plan as well with Marcy Lamb and Shannon Montgomery, and they're both involved in that. And very good. There's no reduction of anything. It's like the insurance. It was very surprising. And to fathom that we're going to be at 41 employees if we can hire all the employees that we have out. Isn't that amazing? It's almost a year ago, it's almost doubling our employees. But nonetheless, this is a very good turn of events, and I would recommend that you should do this. So it's any questions? Miss Lamb?
Is this the same broker that we used in the past?
Yes, this is the second year that we've used Hub as our broker.
That's a very good decrease. I mean, you never see this, like the mayor was saying. Usually it's an increase over every year, so that's a good job.
Our broker is also online and available if you have any questions for him.
Does anyone have any questions for the broker or for Ms. Lamb? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I move to approve the fiscal year 2022 and 2023 insurance benefits for employees as presented.
Motion is made to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 insurance benefits for employees. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, it's unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you. 9B, discuss, consider, and act on an ordinance amending Article 12.05, stop intersections of Chapter 12, stop intersections, to provide for the maintenance of an official inventory of stop intersections in the city. Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, this is a amendment to Chapter 12, which is our traffic and vehicle portion of our Code of Ordinances. And this is a cleaning up of one, removing the city administrator's deal out of there, taking those out, cleaning that up. And then it's also, the current setup is that it requires a map and a list of all the stop intersections. And this proposal is cleaning that up to, instead of duplicating all this over and over and over and having multiple things working on it, is to just have the list. Because that's a lot easier. That comes straight from me. That's a lot easier to deal with. I don't draw a big fancy map, so it takes more time, and it just makes it a lot cleaner, not having to duplicate it. It doesn't, the map really doesn't do as much because it's so close together, you really can't see what's on it. So we like the list. The list is easy to go down. If you want to know, you can look down the list and find the address, and there it is. If it is or isn't there.
So we have additions on here at these stop intersections, and that's been part of the effort of going throughout the city, addressing the different traffic control aspects that are needed, and that's how that was generated.
This one amends the ordinance. The next one actually is your new list.
Oh, yes. I am getting ahead of they were bleeding together.
This one's the ordinance. This fixes the ordinance, so now we can have the list and approve the list.
I had a question. So there won't be a map inventory done at all?
No.
It'll just be the list. Okay.
Yeah. We found that in the past, nobody ever really used the map. Every time anybody wanted something, they wanted to see the list. Where are they? And the map was, as I say, it was to get it all on there. It's so tight, especially when you get into the neighborhoods, especially these newer neighborhoods. All of a sudden, the stop signs are overrunning everything in the neighborhood, and you can't see anything.
The map or the list is what is required by the transportation.
Mm-hmm. That's what's enforceable. The map is not enforceable. The list is enforceable.
If there are no other questions, I entertain a motion, please.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I move that we approve the ordinance amending Article 12.05, stop intersections of Chapter 12, stop intersections to provide for the maintenance of an official inventory of stop intersections in the city.
Motion is made to accept the ordinance, to approve the ordinance amending Article Chapter 12.05. I'll abbreviate that. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second that motion.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you all.
9C, discuss, consider, and act on ordinance authorizing the location and erection of additional stop signs throughout the city. Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, so now here, this is the new, adding to the additional stop signs for the list. These have the ones we've talked about in the past at Gammill and 2nd Street, fixing that one to where it's now a four-way like the rest of them are here in town. This is adding a four-way at Blue Mound and Maxwell Road. They're along on that Blue Mountain Road East. New three-way over on Harmon Road coming out of Caraway. Those are all brand new that will be additional ones. And then I also, because we have all these new neighborhoods that all have stop signs, we've included now to bring all of those forward and get them all in compliance now. All of the stop signs that were built in all of those new neighborhoods in Caraway in Phase 1 and Phase 2, the Vines, Watercrest Phase 1 and Watercrest Phase 2, and then we'll have some more coming. We get Belgrande this go round, but we'll have some more. We got to get all the maps put together and figure out all the ones in North Glen will be coming next. So you'll be seeing this, I don't know, probably every month or two for a while till we get caught up on everything that's out there and some of the new additions. We've got a lot of additions we're working towards. When we get them all put together, we'll be bringing those to you also.
Very good. Council, you have any questions for Mr. Rogers?
Yes, I have a question. Okay, maybe I missed it because I was on my Google Maps looking where all these stop signs are going. And the freeway Blue Mountain Road East and Intermodal Parkway, does that Intermodal Parkway, does it exist, that extension now?
Yes.
Blue Mountain?
When you're up there on top of that hill, that new pavement there on the north side of the road, that new concrete section, that is Intermodal Parkway.
The one furthest east?
The one farthest over to the east, that is the new Intermodal
The new
Parkway.
Intermodal. Okay. That was one of my questions. Okay. And that was it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a question. So when we get the updated list, will be like just highlighted, these are additional, these are new, these are added, or I mean, that you plan on giving it to us? Because my question was on the Caraway Phase 1, on the 4, 5, and 6, those are all additional signs that are not currently there.
Right.
Okay. And the rest of them
That's why we'll always, if it's something brand new that's not already a part of it, we'll always put that out there. It's a new additional add-in.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council, any further discussion?
Yeah, David, I got a question on number 2 on the four-way at Blue Mountain, Maxwell Road, and Waterleaf Road. Do we anticipate any more congestion with this four-way stop sign?
No, this is just what it does is we're trying, that road doesn't have any breakups in traffic, and it sorely needs some so that people have a chance to get out of their driveway. So that's what this is, the start of trying to get those breakups started on that roadway. So we can kind of slow them down for a second or two, give people a chance, and hopefully that helps with people getting in and out of there.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance authorizing the location and erection of additional stop signs throughout the city.
Motion is made to approve the ordinance authorizing the location and erection of additional stop signs throughout the city. Is there a second? There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council.
Item 9D, discuss, consider, and act on an agreement renewal with Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc. for additional construction phase services for Avondale Haslet Road and Haslet Parkway Connector Road project. And this is a renewal for $50,000. The new fees are the very last sheet. There is an update in the engineering fees. There you are. No, it's beyond that. There you are. They have increased, but there was not any negotiations there. Nonetheless, this is needed. They are our engineers of record on Haslet Parkway. And this is just an exercising the original contract and an addition of extending these services.
Mayor Holt, I guess I have one quick question. You said that this is an increase in stuff, but is it something that we've addressed already in our budget for this next?
Yes, it's in our budget. In fact, I believe we have $100,000 on that line item in engineering.
Mayor Halsey, I also had a question. How often do they visit the site, and who from the city directs them if we want them to go and view the site?
Site? What are you talking
Well,
about?
the construction phase. They go out and do spot checks on the construction phase.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And it says that someone from the city directs that when they go and do the spot.
That's Mr. Rogers.
And how often is that done?
Week before last, we had to have them out there a couple other times because we have a pier that's going down where there's a big gas pipeline, so they were out there to be sure this was all done exactly according to plan. It couldn't be off because we'd be too close to the gas line and we'd end up undermining it over time. So it just depends. Most of the time they try to come by. We meet out there and talk for about an hour, hour and a half, kind of drive the job site and look things over. And then if there's something special like that, they want to be there when that's actually being poured or drilled. They like to do that.
Mayor Halsey?
Yes.
I move to accept the agreement renewal with Kimberly Horn and Associates for the additional construction phases for the Avondale Haslet Road Parkway Connector Road project.
Motion is made to approve the agreement renewal with Kimberly Horn and Associates for the additional construction phase services for the Avondale Haslet Road and Haslet Parkway Connector Road project. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Item E, I'm going to give this over to Mayor Pro Tem Broyles, and I will leave the room. Please call me when this item is done. I'll be in the conference.
Okay, council, item 9E is to discuss, consider, and act on an ordinance establishing a stipend for the mayor to begin with the mayor's term of office that commences after the May 6, 2023 general municipal election. And I believe, Ms. Montgomery, you have some, you want to read them now?
Yes, ma'am.
Email.
Okay, the first one is from Carol Clark at 117 Schreiber Drive. I do not believe at this time that the Haslet mayor position should be a paid position. Next one is from Kathy Brandon at 213 Bain Road. I am in favor of voting yes to item 9B on the agenda this evening. I believe the job of our highest elected official and chief administrative officer is a unique combination of stress and joy. Our mayor has extensive qualifications and has assumed the role in a full-time capacity. The position today demands a substantial amount of time working to resolve and guide the city's business. It requires many hours to engage both internal and external entities for the betterment of all citizens and the community. The position requires making commitments and scheduling opportunities to coordinate and engage both government and regulatory stakeholders during a normal business day as well as outside business hours to support the multitude of projects unique to our city. It is clear the position requires a broad range of skills that encompass both interpersonal and professional abilities: communication, decision-making, economic development, empathy, leadership, financial management, negotiation, persuasion, political savvy, and the public administration are what comes to mind. The time commitment and skill set necessary to fulfill the responsibility should be evaluated and compensated as any other position within the city. Next one is from Kitty Wirtz. Oh. Okay, well then, Kitty, if you want to go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Kitty Wirtz, and this is for my household at 205 Thistle Drive. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to address the city council, and then I want you to know that I am in support of item number 9E on the agenda of establishing a stipend for the mayor to begin with the mayor's term of office that commences with the May 6, 2023 general municipal election.
is Patricia Hilborn.
Hi, I'm Patricia Hilborn, 2207 Virginia Lane. I also appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. It's a little difficult to know exactly how to approach this question because the original agenda item on the last council meeting was to have a salary for the mayor, and tonight's agenda has a stipend, and to my mind, that's two different things. I know a lot of cities our size, much larger, much smaller, offer a stipend to all elected officials of, say, $50 a meeting. It's a token of appreciation for the time that you give out of your life to attend the meetings, but that doesn't in no way compensates for the effort that you put in as elected officials of our city. So in my opinion, if you were going to do a stipend, it would need to be for all the elected officials or none. Now, regarding a salary, I do not believe our city in any way can justify a salary for our mayor. Our mayor is elected by our citizens from among our own ranks as a servant leader, as a volunteer, and they do give much more of their time than any other citizen, possibly. Although I believe that as council members, you are all often called to give more of your time than other citizens in your dedication to preparing for meetings and your background research and your interaction with the public. I don't believe that our current mayor, nor any mayor that we've ever had in Haslet, ever ran for this office with the expectation or the desire for compensation for the time that they're giving to our city. And I don't think that that should change. I believe if you give some kind of a stipend in the thousands, as was suggested by the last speaker, to one of you among your rank, that it will fundamentally change the position of mayor in our town. It will also change the relationship between the mayor and the other elected officials. It will change the perception of our citizens and the public of what this position is about. And I ask that you do not do this. I don't believe that our mayors want this, nor do they expect this. And honestly, as a taxpayer, I disagree with using my tax money for this purpose. We elect y'all to be one among us, 6 among us, and you carry a heavy load, a heavy burden on our behalf, but you do it without compensation. You do it as volunteers. So please, don't change that.
Thank you, Ms. Hilborn.
Next one is Joette King.
Hello, Joette Keene, 1410 Poppy Drive. Thank you, Council, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this agenda item. I actually had a lot of thinking about this. I do believe the mayor has volunteered. Our current mayor, our previous mayors have volunteered, and I think it's a noble thing to volunteer for a position, as you all have done. And many people volunteer for things. I think the difference that I've observed is what it really requires today in the city of Haslet. The city of Haslet is not the same as it was 5 years ago. The exponential growth, the kind of things we're facing, the challenges, financial challenges, infrastructure challenges, just growth of people in our community, and all it takes to manage that is really extensive. And I know, in the past, there was a decision to have a city administrator. That city administrator carried a a significant salary. I mean, we talked about not having funds in Haslet to give a salary to the mayor. But if you look at the leadership of the CEO that we currently have, as he refers to himself as the CEO, who delegates to his other managers, but you have to have a vision. You have to have a sense of all of the things that are going on in the city to be able to do that. And with, as I'm saying, with the growth, the number of things and the number of challenges that we have in Haslet today, the responsibility in that position is very extensive, and it's being done by the mayor. As we go, I'm not talking, I mean, I think Mrs. Wirtz did a great job explaining all the things that have happened, but I'm thinking about all the things that will happen and will have to happen and will have to continue to be overseen and managed. It is not trivial. And while I do not believe our mayor currently expected a salary or a stipend, as we said, I think he gladly volunteered to do this work. I think this is a recognition of the kind of expectations that we as citizens have of the job the mayor will do for us going forward, and to have that fairly compensated for the amount of time and effort and expertise of the law. We heard, you know, as the mayor goes to TxDOT on our behalf for the city, he has to understand all, you know, the regulations and what's required. Those are not trivial things to gather information about. So the person who does this, and I'm using that very carefully because we have an election, this stipend would not necessarily be for this mayor. We have to consider that. It would be for the person who wins the election the next time. Assuming it's our current mayor, that's great. We know how he operates, we know what he's done. But we have to understand that whoever is doing this has a big burden on their shoulders to educate themselves, to be knowledgeable about the law, and to lead this city both in its future growth and its safety and all of the things that we've talked about a lot. And what I've learned in my past life is you always look at what's the risk. What's the risk of a decision? And I encourage you to think about what's the risk. Personally, I don't think the risk is really citizens' opinion, because I'll bet you if you went out and polled citizens, a lot of citizens don't know the mayor isn't paid to start with. I bet you a lot of people think the mayor actually gets a salary. So I don't think there's a real risk in people's opinion about that. What's the risk is monetarily? Well, we know we are already saving probably greater than 150. If you look at a loaded cost of an employee with their benefits, et cetera, it's probably more than that. So looking at some nominal gesture of money to a person who is performing all these extensive duties, you know, is certainly not in that ballpark. Let's put it that way. So what is the cost to the city? What's the risk from a financial standpoint? And as Mrs. Wirtz said, what is the ultimate risk is that a council always has the decision. If somebody needs to do this job, let's put it that way. It's either somebody in a position, a city administrator, where they're earning a whole lot more money, or it's someone with knowledge in a position, as the mayor has demonstrated, to do this himself with the expertise of his staff and those that he surrounds himself with. So someone has to do it. And I actually think there's not a big risk. If, you know, Mrs. Wirtz talked about $30,000. Over 2 years, that's $60,000. That's probably half, it's less than half of what you would have paid for 1 year of a city administrator. So what is the real risk to your decision to move this forward? And that's just my point. So I think it would be a really good gesture on the part of this council to recognize where Haslet is and where it has been and where it's going over the next several years and what we need to support that. Thank you.
I have no more that signed up.
Okay, thank you, Ms. King. I want to make a few statements before we move on. Do a summary of when this was brought up at the last council meeting. At the October 3rd City Council meeting, there was an agenda item to discuss implementing compensation for the office of mayor. The council members were given at that time a copy of the Texas Local Government Code 141.01 and 22.042. And they were also given a comparison study of 36 surrounding cities listing stipends and salaries that those cities give to their mayors. Of those 36 cities, 32 employ a city manager or city administrator. The City of Haslet city administrator resigned on February 22nd of 2022. The Haslet's administrator had a salary plus benefits that totaled over $175,000 annually. When the city administrator resigned, our current mayor took over those duties. At the July 18th City Council meeting, the council passed an ordinance that eliminated the office and job duties of the city administrator and invoked the state of Texas statutory prescribed powers and duties of the office of mayor of a Type A general law aldermanic form of government as cited in the local government code. During that meeting, there was one resident asking the council to postpone the vote in the ordinance, and 12 emails were read from residents supporting the ordinance. The city council passed the ordinance with 4 ayes and 1 council member not present. As a result of passing that ordinance, the mayor has taken on the daily administration of the business for the city. The current mayor has done an outstanding job saving the city hundreds of thousands of dollars. He facilitated the acceleration of the L to alleviate traffic on Highway 156 and brought parties together to fund a bridge over the Avondale-Haslet Railroad tracks. Over the next several years, there are critical negotiations and oversight that need to occur for the city of Haslet. These items include, but they're not limited to, continued negotiations with TxDOT and local leaders so the desires of the community are adhered to, oversight of 7 residential development projects, construction of new water and sewer lines, construction of new facilities for the maintenance department, and implementing a new master land use plan that encourages economic growth for the city. I support passing an ordinance to establish a stipend for the mayor of Haslet. And I make a motion to establish a stipend for the mayor to begin with the mayor's term of office that commences after the May 6, 2023 general municipal election. Is there a second?
And I'll just pop in here. You'll also want to have a motion with the amount of the stipend as well.
Okay.
So that way, because otherwise we won't know what that is.
I was thinking, could we amend it after we decide on the stipend? Can we amend the motion after we decide on the stipend?
Yeah. I thought
Okay.
Shouldn't there be discussion before?
I have to have a second first on the motion.
Yeah.
I second that.
Okay, now we're open for discussion.
So the motion is made that we're going to have a stipend, it's just not the amount, is that correct?
We're going to discuss it. We'll discuss it and then it can be amended, the motion, based on the amount.
Okay.
All right, discussion. On the amounts.
Well, can we discuss the idea, so, you want to go ahead?
Y'all go ahead.
I mean, I wanted to kind of talk about all this, but okay, there's a motion already in a second. So I look at it through tangibles and intangibles, and some of the tangible items was I posted on my own personal Facebook, on my own personal Nextdoor, and a Haslet group Facebook page. And I received 4 written responses. One was read tonight. It was an email I received. that were not in support. And I talked to 4 citizens verbally that were not in support, and a lot of their comments were the tax burden, how is it going to be paid, the concerns for, 2 people are said financial challenges, and the 49.4 million look ahead with taxes being raised. So those were concerns that citizens brought to me. So those are tangible things. Let me look else what I put down here. Oh, I had a question about the term salary, because in our Texas Local Government Code, it says salary, but then our motion says stipend. So does that follow Texas Local Government Code by not having that verbiage the same?
So the law calls for salary and any fees of office, and so this is a form of that as a stipend. And so just as background as to why this is a stipend, we were in contact with the TMRS about retirement benefits and some possible issues with that. And so to avoid all of that and requiring both the city and the mayor to contribute to a retirement account, we're instead going to classify him as a contractor who will be receiving a stipend from the city on a either biweekly, monthly, or annual basis.
Okay, so any fees, it fits under it by the term any fees.
Yes.
Okay. And I also had a question about, I didn't see it on the Haslet as hiring 5D. Has the executive assistant position been filled that we know of? No. So
No, it hasn't been filled. He's been reviewing the job description again.
still, okay, because I know we looked at July 5th. That was what one citizen responded, saying maybe an assistant would be necessary. I didn't respond. I just took their information. But I would like to see the executive assistant that we approved to be filled first, to see if that would be enough support for the current mayor. And I guess the intangibles are, personally as a leader, I believe our job is to serve. I think that's why we're here, and there are a lot of people hurting financially right now with inflation the way it is. I just don't know this is the right time to be making this decision.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Councilwoman Broyles. I mean, you brought the motion up at the last council meeting and brought the information. So did you have a range in mind when you put this together?
In thinking about it, I don't agree with paying a city administrator type salary at all. I believe in a stipend, and I think anywhere from 25 to 40,000 is a reasonable amount. But that would be something that council would have to come up with.
How much did we allot for the executive assistant? I looked back in my notes. I didn't see
How much?
the amount.
The amount?
Do you remember either one of?
And if you'll recall that this action has to take place before January 1st, or it has to be postponed for 2 more years until the next term.
Yeah, I don't think that, to me, that doesn't come into play. I mean, I'm not looking to rush this thing. I think it should be thought out and, reviewed, not just to slam it in because we've got, something we want to implement, January of 2023 or at the election of 2023. I want to make sure we do the right thing because this, I think as we discussed last time, we're going to set a precedence with this next election and going forward with what we're going to do with this position of mayor. Whereas through the time of the city of Haslet, it's been a non-paid position, a volunteer position like all of us. And so now we're moving into a branch that now we're going to say we're going to pay somebody. And so is this going to alter the type of candidates we get to run for the mayor of Haslet?
Yeah, I've expressed my concern in the previous meeting about this exact thing. You put a salary out there and then it causes people to run for the wrong reasons. But I was thinking more of a really high salary, more in the position of a city administrator salary, about $150,000, which was what he made. In this case, I'm in favor of some kind of salary, you know, based on what you provided, Mayor Pro Tem. You know, the only comparable one is Blue Mountain, which is a type A city with no city administrator, and the annual salary is $21,600. I don't think that amount is going to entice anyone to want to run for mayor just for that reason. So there's got to be a fine line. You know, you also got to see the quality of the mayor that you have, and I think the one that we have does fill pretty much all the position that the city administrator was doing. So I'm in favor of it. I suggest we do something between 25 and 30,000 a year as a salary or stipend or whatever you want to call it. No more than that. That'll be in line with Blue Mountain and just slightly above Fort Worth, which is 29,000. If we decide somewhere in there, I think that's appropriate. It's not a huge amount, and just based on what the mayor's done so far, he's saved us that much money and you know, tenfold of what he's done already. So that's my suggestion.
I think also, again, it does demand a lot of time. And this mayor, again, we need to take the name away from it and stuff, you know, whether it be Mayor Halsey or, like we said, it could be someone else here in 3 months. Is there an expectation that we want as citizens of someone to be putting in the time? There could be someone that runs for mayor and puts in the one time per month, you know, just to have a city council meeting. There could be someone that, you know, what's our expectation, you know, of the hours that it takes for someone to help run our city? The next person may also be a full-time job and can only put in 20 hours to 30 hours per week. So if you took 20, 30 hours per week, what does that break down to? I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of dollars, but there's an expectation when we, as the citizenry, actually elect someone too, that they're going to be working for the city. A small stipend, I don't know. I've thought many times, you know, about this. You know, I want someone there that's going to come and work for Haslet and put the time for Haslet. Does that mean I want someone to come in and take a salary? No, because you're getting it for the wrong reason if you're coming in for a salary. Does that mean that someone needs to come in and have an expectation? Hey, if you're going to get a stipend, our citizenry expects something from you? I think that's probably where I probably lie more in the case. So, yes, it's great. We've always had the people come in and actually volunteer the time, but I also look at how much time was spent in past. I think Haslet's been very lucky so far. I don't know. I'm in favor of a small stipend myself.
Can the severability clause and the repealer clause be explained, how that would work? Because it's been mentioned a few times. We can change it at any time or cancel it, but then it also says the compensation may not be changed. So the compensation amount may not be changed. But what are the other two clauses?
So those are just legal provisions that are contained in ordinances that would remove any other competing ordinances that have ever been passed by the city of Haslet. So if decades ago the city of Haslet passed an ordinance, or even recently it passed an ordinance, it would say that this new one supersedes it. And so that's all that's saying. But to your point, the next time we could revise it would be 2 years from now. So prior to the 2025 election, and we would not be able to modify the terms or the stipend or the salary, whatever you guys set tonight, prior to that.
Okay, so just as a follow-up, so the comments that have been made about we can change it any time, we can cancel it, that's not accurate. It's good for 2 years, yeah. and then it can be
it would then be revised prior to the next mayoral election, which is by the end of 2024 for the 2025 election.
I just want to make another comment. This comes back to the election. You know, if this were to pass and the citizens do not agree with it, then they're going to show it in the ballot box. So I think that would be the big testament of whether they agree with it or not.
I was just curious if anybody else had any luck soliciting information, because like I said, eight people is who I heard back from Did anybody else? And then we've heard 3 additional speak tonight. So, anyone else have any luck?
All right. I got 2 emails and 2 were in favor and
In talking to people around the neighborhood, I've had at least 6 or more in favor, in addition to what I've had nobody against it come up to me.
And that's all I've had or knows. I haven't had any for it.
And
I think Doug, we're friends on Facebook. You can see my post. It's not soliciting
Yeah.
one way or the other. It is very, give me your input. This is what's being proposed. Let me know, how you feel. Not trying to sway anybody one way or the other.
And I think we also have to realize, getting back, this council on July 18th eliminated the office and job duties of city administrator. So whether it's Gary Halsey or someone else that is elected in May, they're going to have to jump in and continue this until maybe a city administrator might have to be elected at some time. So they're still going to have to continue what's going on today.
Right. I guess my comment to that would be there was mayors for many, many, many years before city administrator was even for Haslet that were unpaid. So
Yes, but the Haslet is a much different city today.
What was the population of Blue Mountain from the last
2,500.
2,500? There's very extreme. We go from Fort Worth at almost 1 million people, 29,000, and we go to Blue Mountain at 2,500 at
Yes, but
21,000.
yes,
well, and Fort Worth isn't
it's not
type A.
Yes, Fort
Blue
Worth is
Mountain
not a
is the
type A.
closest.
Blue
Yeah.
Mountain's the closest, and after the last meeting, I had several others. I didn't add them to the list that also responded to me, about half a dozen, and everything was kind of fell in the same line.
Yeah, I just go to venture, prior to the past election, when I was elected to city council, during several meetings, prior to the election, the current mayor, Mayor Halsey, recited the state codes multiple times and the structure of the city that we are. And, the indications he led was that we did not need the city administrator along. So I think his intentions were to remove that position regardless if that person resigned on their own or not. So I think his intentions were to assume those responsibilities. And even at that time, he knew he was a volunteer for the city. So, he knew what he was doing. And, when he went to run for, mayor of Haslet. So.
And back to the executive assistant. So would we feel that that position is no longer necessary? Would we take that away, or would that be a continued open position? Well, I guess it's not posted. You said right now.
Is still not posted?
Currently, it is not posted.
It's not posted.
The intentions are to repost at a later time. And you asked earlier what that salary was, and it was $49,920.
Can you repeat the salary requirements on that, please?
$49,920. That does not include the benefits, but that was the salary. It was set at $24 an hour.
So would the executive assistant still be necessary if this passes, or I would like to see us fill that position first, but I know we only have 1 more month to make a decision, so I don't know if that can even be done in that amount of time.
With it not even being posted and us having such a difficult time. And then the last time it was posted, I think how many applied for it? Do you remember?
2 or 3 people were interested in the position in the story.
As you see, we're having a very difficult time filling positions right now.
In my opinion, I don't even look at that executive assistant as being that someone to even on this. Like I said, this is more the aspect of the mayor. Do we want someone there and have them at least an expectation of put the work? Will a stipend do that? Again, it's a very big thing on us, on the city council here too, because we are getting ready potentially to change something that will now start setting a precedent. So again, yes, we do have to really think about that, but are we going to get people that run for mayor that are going to know as much as Mayor Halsey? Maybe, maybe not. Mayor Golden? Maybe, maybe not. We've had a good history, but again, the key is I think having something there actually tells that person that we have an expectation that you at least do, if it is a stipend or something per month, to put in time. Now, the person that's running for that, our constituents are going to be voting for that, and we should, as constituents, be saying, hey, read into that and say, what type of person are we going to elect to?
I don't think Mayor Halsey's going to work any harder if we approve this, or work any less hard if he doesn't, get this. So, yeah, but it does open up the idea of who, is going to apply, or who's going to run, and who's going to do it for what intentions. And, some people would argue that, yeah, if you get paid, you're going to work harder. Some would argue it's just, that's your own personal moral compass on that one. So.
Again, I'm not trying to find someone that's going to work harder because they're getting paid. It's trying to send a message saying there's an expectation that you need to be working. Whether that's 20 hours a week, what is it? What would be a salary at 20 hours a week?
For the mayor's position?
Oh, I'm just thinking that, if you're, that's 20, even what we're talking about at $30,000 annually, if you broke that down to how many hours that's expectation to work, that's expectation we're expecting you to put forth to this job. Now, how do we share that? I don't know. How do we share that out to the people that are going to be running for mayor?
You're going to understand my reference. As a coach, or it's not always the hours you put in the work. It's the work and the hours. So just because someone's working 60, 70, 80, 90, and I'm not talking about Mr. Halsey, but I know people that I work with, even though they're putting in a lot more time, that doesn't mean they're actually maybe being as efficient with the work. So I do think that it should correlate, but I don't know if that's always the best judge is the hours. So.
And I wasn't going on the aspect, again, I wasn't trying to use that as an aspect of, the hours or how many hours you're going to put in. But again, it's more of the aspect of we are expecting you to put in time.
Is there any more discussion? Would anybody like to offer an amended motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion, just to amend it to whether you call it a stipend or a salary of $25,000 a year for the mayor. And again, that doesn't put it an extraordinary amount, and it's also, big enough to make a difference where whoever's getting elected, like Councilmember Ricketts mentioned, is now you're getting a salary and there's expectations behind it. So I don't think it's a huge amount. I think it's fair. Again, we have an election coming up. If the citizens believe that it is not correct what we're doing here, then they'll show it in the ballot box.
Is there a second to that motion?
I've had a question with Councilmember Nahara. What do you mean they'll show it in when they vote? They're going to vote. They have to vote for they don't have to. They have to vote for a mayor. So what do you mean
That's correct. So if they don't like this ordinance, they can vote the mayor out or vote myself out or whoever's coming up for election. That's the way I see it. So,
okay.
I don't believe that the mayor, ran to get a salary, whether he deserves one or not. I believe he does. This is a very small one. It's not going to make a huge difference. It's not going to entice someone to run just for that reason. And I think that's fair. And like I said, it'll show up in the election coming up this coming year. So I believe you made a motion already. I seconded it with this amount. So if you want to repeat it, and then we can
Okay,
second that.
there's a motion that, you read it here. To establish a stipend for the mayor to begin with the mayor's term of office that commences after the May 6, 2023 general municipal election, and then in the amount of $25,000 annually. Is there a second to that motion?
Was that an amended motion?
That's an amendment.
We're not voting on the. Yeah, I think that's what she's calling for, is a second on that amended motion.
I'm calling for a second now on the amended motion. He amended,
And now we just need a second on that amended
yes,
motion.
that's what I thought. All right. Is there a second on that amended motion?
I'll second.
I call for a vote.
I think you need to read it back.
Oh, read it back, okay.
This is the vote on the amended motion to include the 25,000 annually only.
Well, the amended motion will just be for establishing, move to establish a stipend for the mayor to begin with the mayor's term of office that commences after the May 6, 2023 general municipal election in the amount of $25,000 annually.
Do I need to where it's going to come from? What account?
No, but I would recommend, though, establishing it that's going to be paid in either bi-weekly or monthly installments so that we don't have to give a large check once, correct?
Bi-weekly?
On a bi-weekly
Okay.
basis.
Do we need to amend that into the motion?
Let's do that, yes.
Okay. All right. The motion is to establish a stipend for the mayor to establish the amended, or the amended motion to establish a stipend for the mayor to begin with the mayor's term of office that commences after the May 6, 2023 general municipal election in the amount of $25,000 annually to be paid bi-weekly. Yes. Annually to be paid bi-weekly.
Correct.
All right. Yeah. Is there a second to that?
I second.
Okay, now I call for the vote. How many in favor? Aye. How many opposed? The motion carries.
Motion was amended, and so the amended motion passed. So I don't think there's a need to go back to the original motion since the motion was amended. All right. I don't think, yeah, I think, it was passed, approved.
Will
And so we'll update this ordinance, the draft ordinance to reflect what we said.
to be signed by the mayor?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you say to be signed by the mayor or you?
Good question. I don't know. We can have you sign it since just to be extra careful.
If that's true, then do we have to approve that by the council that I have the authority to sign it? I believe possibly that has to happen.
Because the mayor is not there, you have the authority as a mayor pro tem
Okay.
to sign off in his absence.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Well, that brings us to item 10, executive session. City Council reserves the right to adjourn executive session during the course of the meeting to seek legal advice from its attorney regarding any item on the posted agenda as authorized by Section 551071 of the Texas Government Code. Additionally, pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Council may adjourn into executive session in accordance with authority contained in Section 551071 Government Code, consultation with attorney pending, contemplated litigation, settlement offer, or seek advice from attorney on a settlement offer and second item, John Day Road. 10B, Section 551072 Government Code. Would it be suffice I can just name the topic, 201 North Highway 156, Haslet, Texas. 10C, Section 551074 Government Code, Personnel, Independent Contractor Agreement with Barbara Thompson. And 10D is Section 551087 Government Code, Haslet Community and Economic Development Corporation Type B. So at this time, I would like to recess the open session, and that time is 8:24 p.m. This recess will adjourn back in the conference room, the boardroom, in 10 minutes. And commence executive session at that time. It is 10:01 p.m. Open session is resuming. All the council members are present. Item 11, consider and take any action resulting from executive session. Item 10A.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the settlement and mutual release agreement with Glenn Foltz for the amount of $800.
Motion is made to approve the settlement agreement with Mr. Foltz for the sum of $800. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, item 10C, independent contractor agreement with Barbara Thompson.
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to make a motion to approve the independent contractor agreement with Barbara Thompson as amended to be 16 hours per week for 1 year
And for what amount?
for $60 per hour.
Okay, the motion is made to approve the independent contractor agreement with Barbara Thompson at $60 an hour at a maximum of 16 hours per week, and the agreement would be for a term of 1 year. Is there a second? There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Item 12, further future agenda items. Does anyone have anything for a future agenda item? All right, let's go to item 13. Have a motion, please.
Mayor Halsey, I move to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn. A second?
Mayor Halsey, I second that
There's
motion.
a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Good night, council. Oh, it's 10:03 p.m.
This conference is no longer being recorded.